Good morning, everyone. What a privilege for me to stand here and talk about a 3-year or less than 3-year-old company after just literally about 1 year on the job. About 19 years ago, when the Hurricane Katrina landed in New Orleans, I think that devastating impact they made to the around the world created a lot of awareness about climate impact and also about the climate change to a very not nice future of our society and also the planet Earth. Food security and climate impact to the food and agriculture system has been in conversation since. And many times when we talk about food system, we very much focus on in terms of the food security and the supply chain security. Today, I would like to spend some time talk about other element of the food system is the consumer, especially come from Asia that represent the major food consumption and also the future growth of the population and their needs of food. I hope that in the next few minutes I will bring you some perspective that from my experience working in the food industry and also my current role as the CEO of Nurasa and also why we want to tackle the challenges through a collaborative approach. And I hope today we will also bring more awareness about what we can do together. As I mentioned earlier, Asia houses the largest population in the as a region houses 60% of the nearly 60% of our global population. That means we need more food. That also means that the food as a fundamental support the human nutrition needs in the past 20 years versus the future 20 years, what will be the differences? There are publicly available data indicate there are projections that by 2050, every one out of the 4 populations in Asia will be older than 60 years old. That means in the next 20 years, there will be a huge amount of aging population, not all negative sense, but in terms of a population enter into their later stage of life, and then they are looking for, in terms of healthier life, but at the same time, the healthcare system in Asia-Pacific region, a region that have 51 countries and the 5 sub-regions are very different. So when we zoom in to these kind of different needs in terms of a region with largest number of new birth, the largest growth of a middle class, high-end middle, from a lower end of middle income to a relatively high end of middle income class, and also a significant amount of billion people move into a healthy aging. So that picture, when you think about in the 20 years of time, just think about the food and the food system. That means in addition to the food security, there's also require a healthier choice of diet that allow or enable the consumers in Asia to enjoy their life when the life expectancies are also expanding at the same time. At the same time, the sustainability definition, of course, today probably not much talk about this, but I certainly think is also need to consider, do we want the consumer to think about how much they pay for their medicine or how much they pay for their food? Now let's talk about Singapore. Right, Asia is very big, but Singapore is very small. Small is the country called it the little red dot. But here in Singapore, I will talk about Singapore in the lens in terms of when we look at the holistic view of Asia, is the complexity of Asia overwhelming. But is there any place similar like Zurich in Europe, a place that we can have lots of great mind and peoples and mission-aligned peoples, and also from a different parts of ecosystem, from innovation, from capital, from research institution, academias, and also from a consumer perspective, can create an opportunity, allow us that have a place can really look into a problem from a smaller scale before we really address from a much bigger scale. That's what I think Singapore can bring. I personally truly believe is play a more important role in the food system, be a strategic gateway to the future Asia problem. At least allow us to have a place to create and gather the green mind around the world, not just from Asia, including yourself, into looking into the problem and also to think about how we address our challenge for the region. At the same time, I also truly believe when we solve the Asia problem, we are solving more or less a significant amount of world problem. Many of you are very familiar about Asia, so I will not talk too much about that, but I just want to zoom in and talk a little bit more about Singapore. There's some interesting facts and data here I'd love to share. It's all known that Singapore is very, very transparent, and one of the very few countries in Asia that provide a security in terms of technologies and safety of capitals and human, and also a highly transparent business environment, ranked number 1 in the world. And the other part is about Singapore is small, but the population, about 5.9 million, has an interesting combination. There are 1.7 million of expats living in Singapore. Those expats, not just like us, those including very high-end income, special talent that work in Singapore, but also that people help Singapore residents and also the Singapore constructions. So there are high-skilled laborers come from neighboring countries. So from a consumer perspective, actually this forms a mini Asia in a small dot, about 50 kilometers wide. And this is important. A very important part I want to mention is because food highly associated with culture, religion, and also their tradition in terms of how they prepare food. So this gave Singapore a great opportunity to be able to represent Asia when we think about in terms of complex food system problems. Singapore government celebrate every religious holiday as their public holidays. That's a very important part of it. Right? So it's a very inclusive environment. And also from ethnic race-wise, we have Chinese, Indian, and also have Malay, and also have people like yourself. So this kind of, I would say, a important part of Singapore facts, interesting, and also, but I would say a very fundamental theory in terms of support my belief in terms of how we use Singapore as a launch pad or landing pad for whoever want to grow their business or develop their solutions for this region or beyond. Let me show you the Singapore map in this lens. Innovation has been a strategic priority for the Singapore government, but also in Asia, many countries. In terms of the, some of the numbers, for example, the bioscience has been a main driver in terms of thinking about sustainable technologies and produce more sustainable food for the system. So the Biofoundry Global Network, they identified that 37% of their members are in Asia. And Singapore, in the last, since I moved to Singapore 2016, I have personally witnessed the development of regional innovation hub. The name that you see here, they are all large corporations. They are familiar name to you, right? Some including regional and the global companies innovation hub. They're regional innovation hub. And Nurasa is right in the middle of that. And give you a sense, it's a 5 to 10 minutes walk. I can reach any of them, the middle center part. And if you take on the mass transportation or the underground or the MRTs, by 20 to 30 minutes, you will reach to the both sides. So that's the beauty of being a small society when there are so many research-related activity or technology-related activities that gave innovators or companies a close connections. We can meet for coffee, lunch very easily, but we also are able to have 7 to 8 meetings in a day, which is very hard to achieve in other parts of the world. But time is money, especially when related to innovation, especially related to people need to trial, constantly learn from the mistake. And this, I personally think, is probably one of the most fantastic ecosystem that allow innovative mind meet together and of course, many of us also knows that Singapore has a very significant part of the capital market. Singapore GDP only represents the world about 0.4%, but from its private investment in the alternate protein-related sectors, they represented about, let me see the figure to make sure I say it right, innovation investment, they are about 19%, and investment related to globally about 9%. So, a small country, but it's because of the safety and provide a safe net to innovation, to capitals. So Singapore is playing a very significant role for the region, not just for Singapore. So that's gave me the confidence in terms of being a very new company and originated in Singapore, that we want to dream big and we want to create a bigger impact to the global sustainable food, and also the overall the food system, how we can benefit for the Asian consumers. We are 100% owned by Temasek. Temasek is most people will know, but I was emphasizing in terms of, in this case, is Temasek has quite declared its commitment to invest for the sustainable future. So Nurasa is created by Temasek in 2021 with the objective to accelerate the sustainable food innovation for Asia. I joined the company September last year, so with the management team and my board, I have an independent board that work with me, and a shareholder to declare our vision, a very simple 4A vision. We just focus on accelerate, adoption, affordable and appealing, better for your foods. It's simple, but it's quite lots of things to think about, so we clearly cannot do by ourselves. So partnership and also collaborate with the vision-aligned community is very important. That's why I feel very, very privileged to be here and allowed to share my story with all of you, and I hope we can find more partners that are willing to pursue these challenges together with us and for the Asian consumers and the markets. How we want to do that is actually we have created an open innovation platform. This is open innovation concept in Switzerland, may not be a new concept, but in terms of in Asia, that is a very new concept. So in terms of how we operate, is not just for a single food product innovation, but also collaborate with a few very key important elements associated with the commercialization. There are lots of technology available in the world already. But how we make those technology accessible to the consumers that change their life and also fulfill their needs and their demand in terms of a healthier choice, healthier diet, with a sustainable value chain focus the solution. We are still in a very early stage to pursue that journey. So the few areas that we focus also leverage the Singapore public support. It is about regulation. Singapore become one of the leading country in terms of more open in terms of a novel food innovation, and have very friendly organization to support, also openly discuss into potential to support a new innovation to be approved for commercial sales. And we also have a research institution focused on the food safety. When new innovation comes, the food safety is very critical. So how we address the risk associated with innovation when we push lots of new things into the market. But also very important, investors are important to be part of this network, to be aware, because we are reducing overall the market fit risk, time to market risk, and also the project risk. So it's important for the investor to be aware or to be part of that journey in terms of how to improve the financing support when the risk is much more easier to be measured. The other part, of course, we ourselves is also can do an investment, and then the investment is we happy to be part of, build our network of investors that to support the companies or innovations that focus on addressing the sustainable nutrition needs for the region. Ecosystem approach, we hope we can learn more from the Asia society in terms of how can be better to bring the like-minded people together. But here we are more focused on playing a few roles to increase access to the regional market. So build our channel partnerships and also increase the identify, even though still in the nascent stage, identify early on those mission-aligned retailers and the distributors and manufacturers that increase the chance of sustainable technology solutions to access to the consumer. Today, we all know, right, as a consumer, we don't always find what we want in the supermarket shelf. So I'm a little bit over time, sorry. So I'm really actually calling XiuLing ambassador. The ultimate goal for us is the sustainable nutrition solutions it should be a normal way of living of our life. That's our ultimate goal. And for those who are interested, I'm really happy to have a further conversation during a break or lunch and to be our ambassador. Thank you very much.